Hello, 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 and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jameelah, and I am a master manifester, and I'm sure you are too, because you are consuming content like this. The name of this lovely channel is Holistic Manifesting, because I believe in a whole body, whole mind, and whole being experience when it comes to manifesting these amazing lives that we are choosing. What I'm discussing today is a little bit of a switch up, right? Normally, I'm always doing something related to inspiration or empowerment or metaphysics, those sort of things. But this may fall under the same category too, because as a person who studied sociology, I realized that everything is everything and it can be applied across the board generally, right? So my question for you all today, because I do want to hear back from people who are watching these videos, do you believe that some people don't prefer being single? And I might have said that weird. Do you believe that there are not people out there who have a preference for singlehood? And the reason, and who are not bitter and angry, but just have a preference for singlehood. And the reason why this comes up is because as long as I've been having this channel, and just about every topic I've posted on here, and generally, I'm never talking about romantic relationships or love, because it's one of those topics that it's just not in my wheelhouse. It's not me. Somebody else is talking about it on YouTube. So I rarely talk about anything related to relationships. But it almost never fails. At least once a week, I can post a topic about something, and a man will show up and start talking about that's why you're single, this and that, and using the word single like it's an insult. And I just found it to be the strangest thing. And I'm like, first of all, I never even mentioned relationships. I was talking about in your connections that you have with other people. It doesn't have to be relationships. And then another part of that was like, why, when I hear people say that, that's why you think, it's like, to me, it sounds like, and that's why you're rich, and that's why you're fit. And that's why you're happy. It's like, dude, it's not an insult. But last night I was sitting there scrolling through the comments on my shorts because, every now and then I go look and see what's there. And it was this long drawn out comment. I don't feel like editing my video, so it probably won't be in the video, but I can kind of just summarize it. He was saying, once again, here we go with another woman keeping other women single. I was talking about how breadcrumbing across the board, whether you're in the workplace, your connections with family and friends. Matter of fact, in that clip, I specifically did not mention romantic relationships. And it's like, he's like, the same men you want to be in relationships with, you won't give empathy to. And I'm like, where does this even come from? And I'm like, why are people so committed to believing that there are people out there that genuinely do not prefer? The reason why I say this is because if I think about all the relationships I've had in my life, really significant ones, because there were little ones in between. It was my first boyfriend when I was 16 to 19 years old, so about 3 years. And then it was again the person that I married around 24 years old. We were together almost 7 years. And then more recently in my late 30s, early 40s, I guess. I mean, I still say I'm in my early 40s, more like mid. But, around that time, it was, roughly 3.5 years. I can honestly say throughout that time, and this may sound harsh, but I don't think anybody is watching. If they are, my apologies, but whatever. I have never been a person that was in love with somebody. So I may be speaking from a different perspective. For me, with relationships, I've never had to have one to feel anything extra in my life. And if I'm being honest, most of the time when I've had those relationships, it was taking a lot out of me personally to attend to it, because there was time I wanted to just be with myself and attend to myself. And most people would think, oh, that's selfish. And so my thought process is now, especially with the last relationship that I was in, I feel bad about not dragging them, they want to be there, into my space and be in a relationship with me, and knowing that I'm not in love with a person. Now, please comment below. I don't want to sound like a sociopath, but I kind of think a lot of people aren't in love with people. Like, there's other components of relationships that they latch on to. And when I say in love, I'm talking about that deep, abiding love. Like, I feel like I will go to the ends of the earth for you and do all this stuff. I've only really felt that level of depth with my children. right? And then that's not romantic in any sense. And so much of what I was doing, even back to the earliest relationships, because, I'm taking out all the 6 month to a year things out of there. It was about just doing it because I thought it was what I was supposed to be doing. I was like, you're supposed to be looking for a guy. You're supposed to be in a relationship. You're supposed to be chosen of something like that. But if I'm being honest, deep down inside, I never really felt like this is something that's completing my life. This is something that's fulfilling me on a new level. And that could account for why they probably didn't work out. I mean, there were other major issues that were like pronounced big and out front. But maybe that the people I was with were picking up on, I don't have her whole self. And the thing about it is that I don't give my whole self to anything in my life because there's always going to be a portion I keep for me. And even my daughters know I love y'all fully and completely and deeply more than anybody I've ever seen on this earth, right? But there's a part of me that still I hold on to for myself. And sometimes being in a relationship with some people, that is intimidating because you see them as somebody you want to have in your space as opposed to somebody you need to have in your space. And sometimes people really need to be needed. And I've never needed to be needed. I've always preferred to be wanted, like friend groups, relationships, family connections. I don't want you to come around if you think you need me. That's a false representation. I want to be wanted, and I always work better and I connected better with people who preferred being wanted, right? Most of it is allowing social environments to make me believe that somehow my life was not fully complete because there wasn't another person in it. So it's like that's what drove marriage. That's what drove the latest relationship I was in to keep going with it, even though I saw signs of things that were. And I'm like, this is eventually going to fall apart because there's no way I'm just going to just fold over and just be what this person is asking for because it's just not who I am. And it was mostly conditioning. I grew up in a very male-centered environment where, there's always, I always made fun of our holiday celebrations. There's always a different man there. Some kind of different man there, I have a lot of women siblings and cousins and always a different man there with somebody, and you're just like, okay, here we go again. And I just didn't want to participate in that. So it's like I even get annoyed thinking about like the couple of people that I let come around because I'm just like, it wasn't in the right intentions. It was always to like fill a gap that I thought I was supposed to be filling, right? And another thing is that I've never had a longing desire for a relationship. So even when I'm not in one, which I have not been in one, right? For has it been more like a year and a half now, possibly, maybe 2? And I don't feel that like, oh, it would be so nice to meet someone. It would be like, I never had that. Even when I got together with girl talks and I would be with other women, when I was younger, I would pretend like as if I felt the same way about having a romantic relationship the way my friends did. And like, mentioning the guy a lot and talking about what he did or what he didn't do. But I just was like, I just never felt connected in that way, right? And it definitely wasn't a thing about not being attracted to men because that's definitely the case. But it didn't pull me in the way I saw other people. So I used to look around and go, my oldest daughter does that. When she encounters something that she's heard a lot about and she's heard people talk about how amazing and wonderful it is, and she does it and she doesn't feel it. When she was little, I remember we went trick-or-treating and she was like, is this trick-or-treating? Is this what Halloween feels like? And I'm like, that is the most rawest display I've ever seen of, do I feel what everybody else is feeling? It's like, some people are pretending, but yes, this is trick-or-treating pumpkin. So if you're not excited about it, don't pretend to be excited about it. And that's kind of how I live my life with that. Also too, if I'm not romantically involved with someone, this may be TMI, but who cares? I don't desire any adult relations. So like, that's not something that drives me to go looking for people or to go looking for a relationship or wanting to bring somebody in my life. And if I think about it on a regular basis, because that comment was really like, I was like, this is crazy how people actually think that there's no way everybody wants the same thing. We don't live in a world like that. Human beings are all different. And also, it doesn't have to be negative. Like, it doesn't have to be mean. I don't have to hate men in order to know that I just don't have to have a romantic relationship. It's just not that bad. And it's not that serious to me. Like, I'm perfectly content pretty much all the time, being consumed with my own little projects and creating videos and writing books and my career and stuff and doing the stuff my daughters need and going travel and all that and talking to the people in my spirituality groups, like, and exercising and staying fit. I'm always on some new healthy eating regimen that I'm trying to pull off. So it's like there's so much happening. It's like it just doesn't. It's kind of weird to me when people, like, that's the number one comment I get from men. Majority on my channel is always related to, and I'm just like, I'm a human. Let's talk about human things. And I was like, take that gender war stuff somewhere else. I don't do that, So per usual, I deleted the comment and moved on. But I don't understand why it's, always men attacking. I'm like, what is that about? Nonetheless, rarely does a woman sit there and type out things that are negative towards me. But I don't know. Maybe I'm speaking their language. I have no idea what it is. Anyway. And also another thing too is what I noticed whenever I had friends in relationships, or either they were getting married and stuff, I was always a good friend to have around for that because I did not care. And what I noticed was that I remember going to my best friend from high school's wedding, and she had two other really good friends that she had been having for a while, from like church and like her, family relations or whatever. And they were all there. And I remember us sitting in the kitchen, like getting the food ready, because she did one of those home style weddings where everybody made the food. It wasn't catered or anything. And they had such a bitterness like in them. Like they were annoyed that she had, attracted a good husband and she was getting married and, it was working out for her. But I was thinking to myself, I didn't care nothing about that wedding in that kind of way. I was looking forward to wearing a really pretty dress because I was a bridesmaid and I just had never walked in a wedding in a while. And I was like, this is going to be fun. And so I was like thinking like, I was a really good friend to have around because you don't have to worry about making me jealous of that, because I can't think of a time I've ever looked around and thought, this relationship looks so good. Oh, I really want that. Like I've had that, and this might be telling you where my mind is at. I've had that when it comes to like success for like people that write books and they get noticed and, their books are being made into movies and TV shows and they get on that platform. I've had it for like career related stuff. I hate to say it, but it's kind of true. I did. And I'm just like, oh, that's so nice for her. I want that. But it's never been a relationship or a marriage or anything. And it's not even because my marriage was like, blah. It's not even that. But I just never had the desire for that. I got notes here because I was writing this while I was doing work earlier. And generally, I always feel blessed and relaxed and free. So it's like there's nothing ever like missing in my life that I feel like, oh, this is missing. I wish I had this. I wish I had that. Like that rarely happens to me. I'm always like, ooh, more abundance. So I can do more things and I can have more projects and more interests. That's always something that's on the top of my mind. And so there's another thing. There's another angle to this. A part of me thinks that, okay, well, maybe you just haven't run into the right person, and that I'm wondering if there's going to be this man that has such a strong magnetic, energetic pull to me that I can't help but want to do all the things, get in a marriage and go on to do the this and that and all this kind of stuff with them and just like gush over them and, get excited to where I can't have a conversation without talking about them. But I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know if they're like, I don't like to say never. So that lets you know that there's no problem with it. I don't like to say never, but in my mind, that's the only way I think something like that would work out. Like, I'm perfectly okay with being a solo traveler in this life. But in my mind, I think like, well, if it was so strong, it couldn't be denied, then you can't say never. You know what I mean? And I'm thinking that would be the only way that I would be into that like that, right? And I've never been a person that was really big on having people just hang around. And so I notice sometimes people are in relationships to where they don't have a strong connection. It's kind of a little bit codependent. They get along pretty decently, but they're not really into each other that much, right? They're kind of just doing their own thing. I've never been a person that liked people just hanging out in the fringes. I need to know why you're there and what's it for. Even in my phone, I have everybody that's in my contacts labeled as who they are, whether it's sister, brother, niece, nephew, acquaintance, realtor. I put a little in parentheses behind that because to me that it shows that I value those connections and they have a role that they play in my life, right? And so like if there's a relationship like that, and it's not really serving a huge purpose, I don't really know. Like, I don't really keep things around like that, right? And I will say this, one of the main times that I think about a relationship and what it might be nice for is when I want to go travel and do something like travel solo or something, because traveling with men in the past, there's a level of security that I found with that, especially in places I haven't been before and in international places. But at the same time, it might be a false sense of security, but I feel that, you know. And then another thing is, because, you know, just in my brain, while I was raised by my dad, you know, I come from a 2-parent home. I mentioned that before on this channel. My dad never had a lot of money. And so in my head, I've never seen men as like this walking dollar sign or like this path to abundance. I've always been a person that tapped right into source. And you know what's so funny? When I was like 20 something years old, I didn't even know all the information that I know now. But I remember my ex-husband used to hold money over my head because I wasn't working right when I had my oldest daughter, and I had to go to him for grocery money, and he would just like hold it over my head. And I remember one day I was like, you know, you're not my source, right? And I was like, the creator's the source for all of us. And it like killed him. Like, it made him so angry. I thought it was just stating the truth and just being comfortable with the truth and letting it go. And it did not have the effect that I thought it would. It didn't have the effect. And so I've always been like, well, why go through that when I can go straight to the creator, these things that I want to have, and I don't have to do anything I don't want to do. I don't have to go anywhere I don't want to go. I can truly pick people based on, I want to be connected to them. I want to go where they're going. I want to travel with them or something like that. And so, yeah, I never did like look at, and I know that's probably from growing up, because it wasn't a thing for me to go to men for money. It just wasn't. And I never looked at that in a sense. So everything that I ever wanted in my life, to accomplish in my life or to do, it was never centered around if I can get a man to cooperate. And it's like, even the first house that we purchased when I was married and stuff like that, there was no doubt in my mind that it's something I probably could have pulled off on my own, as I've done, right? But I was trying, in my brain, I was thinking like, this is the way everybody says you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to get married. You're supposed to have the kids. You're supposed to buy the house. You're supposed to buy the car. And I remember thinking like, I'm doing everything like in order. It was almost like a checklist, but I didn't, if I'm being the most honest I possibly can be, I never really was in touch with, this is where my heart is. I'm in love with this idea. I'm in love with being a wife. I'm in love with this whole concept of being in a romantic relationship. And this is all to be said, I think they're beautiful and wonderful. And every time I'm around somebody who has one, I make sure I acknowledge their person. I always make sure I wish them well, because I literally do. But I don't think of it like, girl, you got a friend you can hook me up with. I'm not dragging nobody into my life. I got enough on my plate. Like being on a dating site, I'm not about to get on no site looking for somebody, swiping through. It's not gonna happen. And so I don't know. I wonder if I feel like this 10 years from now. I'm not exactly sure, but I know that I feel like I am releasing, because I have not been able to be honest about this kind of thing my whole entire life. But because of the so many comments that I get on my channel from like men in the background just acting like, oh, you're a loser of a woman. You don't have a man. It's like, dude, you really believe that? I think they do. I think they literally do. And that's not even to say that I don't think that men or women are made for each other, that it is biologically the most genuine representation of a connection that we have in society, right? I did my duty. I made my 2 little babies. They're amazing citizens. They're artistic. They're musical. They're academically driven and all those wonderful things. They have a mind of their own. I put 2 little citizens in the world. Not that I feel like I was obligated to, but I feel like I did my part. And so like at this point in my life, I'm always like, well, what would the motivation of a romantic relationship be for me? And I've always been that person. One of my friends, old friends, not friend anymore, not a friend, but just don't really talk to her anymore. Don't talk to her at all, actually. I remember she mentioned to me once, she was like, when you meet up with Jameelah, you got to know, she's going to be like, what is the purpose of this get together? What is the purpose of this meeting? Why are we sitting here in Starbucks? I never said any of this out loud, but her mind, she knows that I'm a purposeful person. And so I've rarely been a person that's just like, girl, let's sit on the couch and do Netflix and chill. Like, that's not, I'm like, girl, I can be at home doing some things by myself. And so my youngest daughter has really helped me feel validated in this mindset, because She is introverted through and through, and the other one is on the very opposite end of the spectrum. You can't even bring her in to get her home. Now that she got a car, it's like, oof, this is a street runner. And then the other one is like, what's she doing? What is she doing with these people? I was like, Macy, there are people who genuinely like hanging around people and doing nothing. You have to understand this. And she was like, why? And I'm just like, girl. And I was like, this is from a very introverted standpoint. It really doesn't click for her, but she validates my mindset, because I'm just like, she don't really just need nobody like talking about. Like, she really is on her own terms. And even when she was a little baby, I remember my sister used to look at her and go, that little baby look like she don't care about nobody and nothing. And I'm like, no, she is so unbothered. But it's like I allow myself to be forced into being bothered. It's like, you should have friends. You should have this many groups. You should be going out to the club. You should be dressing like this so you can attract men. You should be telling your friends, oh, look what he bought me. He got me this. He got, like, this is what these are. But if I'm being honest now, at this beautiful age that I've ripened to, I just don't care that much. And it's not negative. So anyway, that's my question. What do y'all think? Why do so many people, and primarily men, think that a woman can't be alone and not be bitter about, like, that? Like, you can't be just genuinely okay being alone, and like, you can. It's like, why is that so hard to believe? I don't get it. And do you think there's a certain amount of spiritual elevation that you reach to where you don't necessarily have to be in dependent relationships with other people? I'm not saying you don't need people and you don't enjoy them, because I got a lot of people that I enjoy. When I travel and I go around the world, I don't do that by myself. I always told my daughter, I'm like, I'm going to point to the mountain with somebody. So it's a group of people from here. There's people that travel there. I'll meet them there. And it's wonderful. I love the community, sitting at the cafes, walking through the little markets, all these wonderful things, sitting on the beach. I wouldn't die if I had to do it alone, but I have a preference to do it with other people. But what is it, do you think, that people think that you can't have a full and happy life without that, right? Because I think further understanding that, you can see why so many women try to use, like, my husband, this and this as a weapon. Like, it went straight over my head. Like, I don't even register those kind of comments. Girl, I'd be like, everything comes with something. Being single comes with something. Having a husband definitely comes with something. And if you want to ask me for my preference, I like not taking care of somebody else that's an adult. I like not saying, I can honestly say, this is the last thing I'm going to say. And this is how you know that some people prefer to be single. In my last relationship, we got along very, very good. It was so easy. It was very easy. And that's why it was easy. Very easy for me to be around this person. We did the same stuff, the same fitness. We pretty much ate the same. We had the same mindset with so many things. But something that got on my nerves so bad was every single night they were like, what's for dinner? And I'm like, I don't ever want anybody to ask me what's for dinner again. And I cook a lot, so it has nothing to do with cooking. It's just like that codependent kind of leaning on me for something. Like, no, I'm already raising these kids. I don't want to pay attention that closely to what somebody else may need or want or something like that. And it's no negativity. It's just it's a choice. When you bring people into your life, you have to be willing to put them in some level of sequence with what you're doing. You have to make space for them, time for them. You have to show appreciation to them. You have to give them attention on a regular basis. And all these things are wonderful. But if you know you're not a person that's into that, then you probably won't be so like, let me bring somebody in, right? Let me just get somebody around for, just to do that. Anyway, what do y'all think? Put something in the comments. Are you like this? And am I just crazy? Am I like a sociopath or something? I hope I'm not. I hope I'm just being honest. I think everybody's different. And I think we forget that with the internet. Because like disagreement is like a fight, Disagreement is an attack on other people's mindset. It's like, I can disagree with you and not attack your whole character. I can just disagree, Anyway, I hope y'all have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day.